Hello.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good.
I am
So
so
weird. I've never
excited.
never seen those things. I've never done this.
I know. We talk all the time on video phone, but we never talk on like a live stream. So,
Nope.
how does it feel?
Weird.
I
It's like,
love it.
yeah,
Why does
yep.
it feel weird?
I don't know because I'm like, I don't know who's listening right now.
I don't know either. Well, so far
Yeah.
probably nobody, but we'll see. We'll see what
How
happens.
funny.
I
You're like,
know,
who's,
I know. And,
yeah.
I know. Well, the cool thing about this is that, it records, and then it's pretty fun to watch, like, how many people watch it, like, after the live. So I just love this. I love being able to know, like, people can just keep
So
watching it.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you're in Texas where it's sunny, and I'm in Washington, and we had windstorms today. Do you miss windstorms since you used to live here?
I don't miss the Washington windstorms. What's funny is in Texas, we get cold fronts, and we actually have a cold front coming in today. And what happens in a cold front is like you'll get this really like all of a sudden, it just is super duper windy.
Oh.
And so, yeah, so we should actually get some wind today too. And cold front means it's going to be in the 70s tomorrow instead of 80s.
Oh gosh. Okay,
Yeah.
well, we are going down into the 39, like 38, 39 for or low 40s at night now. So we're getting into
Gross.
that fall. I know. I know. The
I don't
girls
miss
are
that.
like, "What is it going to be like tomorrow?" The girls do.
Mhm.
And then Macy's like, "Can you pick out my clothes for me?" She's still all sad and confused that she can't wear sandals and tank tops, but
Oh,
I know.
well, you tell her that she just moves in with Auntie Christina and she can wear sandals year round.
Yes, I know. I love it.
Ah,
That's funny.
yep. Yes, yes, she would love it.
So, we are we're celebrating today, and you know what I was so excited about today?
The red cups?
The red cups, and I was so excited because I was like, "Yes." I was like, "We get to have a celebration live."
Yep.
And just for our live, look what they well, not that it was just for our live, but it happened to coincide with red cups.
Oh, I
Thanks,
did not know that,
Starbucks
or else
for
I would have gone and gotten my own red cup.
I know. I was like, "Thanks, Starbucks, for celebrating with us."
Mhm. Yeah.
They knew we were celebrating, and so they wanted
Yes.
to celebrate with us. Um, I am, dealing with, I think, a technical difficulty on our Instagram connection, but the good news is that, again, this records. And so
Oh,
if for some reason Instagram cannot see us right now, which would stink, but I will post it on Instagram. So
okay. So
it's all
somebody will
good.
hear this and not just you and me having a conversation.
Yes.
Which is fun
Yes, I
too.
know.
That's fun
I
too.
know. I've like hit go live on the Instagram, like where it's supposed to go live, and it's not going live. But that's okay. So Facebook is watching us right now and
Okay.
YouTube. So
Fun.
so hi
Yep.
Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. If you're not with us, I'm so sorry. Our streaming seems to be having a technical difficulty, but it's all good. So celebrating with a red cup, which I'm super excited about. So everybody can go get your red cups and celebrate with us. So first of
Yeah.
all, it is my niece's birthday.
Mhm.
So it is your oldest daughter's birthday.
Yeah.
She's 23 today.
Yeah. Yeah. 23 years ago today, I became a mom, and that feels like a long time ago.
It was.
Yeah.
We were like 14. No, I'm just we were 23 years
No.
ago. 21. We were 21,
21.
23 years ago.
Yes.
So she's
Yep.
now older than you
Yeah.
were when you had her.
Yes.
She's
Yep.
about the age you were when you had JD,
Hmm.
the the nephew, my nephew.
Yep. The
And
boy.
okay, the boy,
Mhm.
yep,
Yep.
exactly. And you were still out here in Washington.
Yep.
You were here in Washington, and then, fast forward, so you had the 2 kids, and then 2005, I came.
I know.
Surprise! There's a
I had
sister.
2 kids, and then I had an Angela. My
So
teenage daughter is what I called her.
we were yes, we took very opposite paths in life, I always tell people.
Mhm.
And so I'm like, because I have 2 girls who are 8 and almost 10. So she'll be 10 in 3 weeks. And
Yeah.
so, which is crazy. And you have 23, 21, and 18, almost
Yep.
19.
Almost 19.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so we took very different paths in life. And I was living on the East Coast. You had moved out here.
Mhm.
2005, I showed up on a plane.
Yep.
I love telling people this story that haven't known us a long time. So for those that haven't known us a long time, I came out to Washington. It was supposed to be a 2-week visit. And
Yep.
I can remember Christina like hovering over my shoulder when I was looking on the computer or something about the flight to go home. And I can remember sitting in your kitchen and you were like, "Why are you going back?"
Yep.
And I said, "Well, I have to go back and get a job and whatever." And you're like, "There's jobs in Washington." And so I always say I came for a 2-week visit in 2005 and never left.
Never
And
left.
never left. And life has never looked the same since,
Mhm.
and probably won't look the same ever again. And that's kind of fun and exciting.
Mhm.
And okay, so then that was 2005. And
Yep.
then it was like, okay, like we're going to build a life out here in Washington. You stayed down South Washington, and I started making my way a little bit more north just because that's where the
Every
job
year it was like,
opportunity. Yeah, I know, every year. Yeah, I moved a little bit further away. I was
yep.
going out on my own, stretching my
Uh-huh. You had to spread your wings. The baby bird had to fly.
I was becoming an adult.
Yes. The kids used to ask me that when you lived with us. Is Aunt Angela a grown up?
Yeah,
Like,
and you're like,
yeah.
yes, she is. Yes, she
Yeah.
tries to be. Well, that's what's
Mhm.
so funny is I never felt like I was, but I never felt like I wasn't. I
Mhm.
think I went through this period where I just felt like stuck and just
Mhm.
unsure. And I think it's been really cool now in my 40s to be able to say, like, see people in that time of their life and go, "Oh,
Yeah.
that's what was wrong with me." So if you are 25 to 29, 18 to 29 listening to this, it's
Yeah.
normal. It's totally normal
Mhm. Mhm.
what's happening right now. And I don't even have to
Yeah.
know you out there to know that whatever it is, it's totally normal. And
Mhm. You're gonna figure it out.
yep, exactly. So then fast forward to 2009. So that's what we're here to celebrate today. It's
Yeah.
15 years when I realized that today was going to be 15 years since we got the call that I had cancer. I was like, that doesn't feel real.
Mm-mm.
15 years. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
what?
It like in some ways it feels like yesterday because I remember it so vividly.
Mhm.
And then in some ways it just feels like it's been a lifetime because of all of
Right.
the life that's been able to be lived since
Mhm.
that day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we won't, I mean, let's talk about that day just for a few minutes. And then I'm hoping we can like look forward or look through as we were able to start looking forward, like what
Yeah.
that was like, because I think so many times people get a bad phone call and they're like, "Oh, like I just lost my job," or somebody that I love just passed away, or I just got cancer, or, and in the moment, your world is literally flipped upside down. And I think the hardest thing is to be like, "Oh my gosh, like, we're going to rally around you and you're going to be fine." And, but it's like, no, like acknowledge the moment when your world turned upside down.
Mhm.
And
You have to feel the feelings. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. You have to feel the feelings. I I was at an event, and there's a picture from that day. I'll have to look in my Time Hop app and see if I have that if that picture is in there today. I'll scroll a little bit while we're chatting. And
Yeah.
I was at an event that day for work and was with a group of people that a lot of them I knew, but some of them I didn't. I didn't know very well. But there's a picture of me just laughing. We were doing this. We were doing a like a not really a team building. It was kind of a brainstorming event, and I was having a great time
Mhm.
in that particular event. And we had somebody had somehow grabbed a picture of me, totally just laughing, just having a great time.
Mhm.
And I love looking at that picture because it literally was the moment before my world completely changed.
Mhm.
Like, it's
Yeah.
who how often can you say you have a photo of the moment that your life completely changed?
Not often. Yeah.
Not often at all, and I'm about to
Mhm.
be so sad because I don't know if it's in here, but I will find it. If I can find it, I will post it, online, and,
There you go.
so everybody can see it because it really
Be like,
is
"There's
the
there it
best.
is, there's the
There it
moment."
is.
Yeah.
Okay, yep, I'm sad
Um,
it's not in here, but I'll find it later.
yeah.
Um
Well, and I remember I was not having a good time that day because one of my closest friends was in the hospital, and she was really, really, really sick. And her
Mm,
husband was deployed, and she had three little kids,
mhm,
and I mean, she was really sick. And so we were like, as her church family, we're taking care of the kids, we're making sure that we're visiting her at the hospital. In the meantime, her mom had flown in, and so I had gone up to go get her mom from the airport. And then, the airport's about, it's about an hour away from the town that we lived in. And so I went up, I got her mom, we're driving back, and there's a casino 10 minutes from my old house. And so I remember vividly that Angela called and told me, and I knew I was kind of waiting for a call, like, we were kind of all waiting for results, and we were waiting. So when the phone rang, I just kind of was like, "Okay, I need to pull over, answer the phone." And so I was sitting in the car with this woman that I had never met before, and yeah, and got the call and took the call, and, had some tears, um but it was beautiful too, because this stranger was able to hug me,
mm,
in that moment, and care for me, in the same way that I was trying to care for her family. And so there's just beauty in that,
mhm.
that I was able to experience that with her, and I'll never forget that moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I Speaking of strangers, it's funny how God did that because I mean, funny, it's just crazy. It's always funny. It's always just crazy to
God's
me
so
how these things
cool. I would
work.
say God's so cool sometimes.
He's so cool, and he loves to keep us on our toes. So the thing about my life when the cancer diagnosis happened was I was single. I wasn't married, I should say, and I didn't have kids. I didn't have a family up here, and um I didn't know where to go. Like I had just gotten this news, and I just remember the doctor saying, like, it's Angela, it's real cancer. Like, this is serious. And those words, like, real cancer. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know what other kind of cancer there is, but, like, he was trying to convey to me that this was not a normal run of the mill cancer. We would learn, obviously, in the weeks and months after that how real it was. But I kept hearing those words over and over, and I was just kind of driving around, and I had just started seeing a chiropractor that summer. And
Yeah.
this is where you can just, like, look back and go, "Oh my gosh," like, God knew.
Mhm.
He was already in that moment, and he knew because I started seeing this chiropractor. I never in 5 million years would have gone to a chiropractor. I was dating someone at the time who was like, "You have to go to a chiropractor," because my neck was like totally awful, right? And I was like, "Nope, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it." You know, I don't believe in chiropractors, which now obviously like but I was really
Uh-huh.
stubborn at the time. And so I had started seeing that chiropractor in July of 2009. And this was November 4th. And so it had
Mhm.
been some months. And so I had just, become friends with the people who worked there. And it just felt like a comfortable place. For some reason, God, right? I showed up at their office bawling, like just bawling. And I'm like, I don't know where to go. And I knew because I knew I wouldn't be able to make it down to your house.
Mhm.
That would have been taking me 2 hours to drive down there in that in traffic, rush hour traffic.
Mhm.
And so I was just gonna go home, but then I didn't wanna be alone, and so I ended up at the chiropractor's office, and I'm like, "I have cancer," and they were like, "Wait, what?" You know? And it was just the craziest thing, but like you said, like, they were strangers for the most part. I mean, they were just people I saw once a week when I would go to the chiropractor's office, but in the hardest moment of my life, up until that point, like, they welcomed me and they loved me and they cared for me, and God put them in my life in that exact moment because he knew months before that I was going to need them
Mhm.
and create this trust that we didn't even understand at the time. And yet now I can look back and think about, like, oh my gosh, like how amazing was that? And how often are we given that opportunity to be the stranger in someone's life that can love on them in the hardest moment of their life? Like how
Mhm.
often
Yeah.
do we turn the other cheek, or do we just turn around when we see, something happening, or, we
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, we
but
have to be open. We always say, have to be open to the opportunities that God puts before us,
mhm,
um, because those opportunities are there every single day to
yeah.
be that for somebody. Um, and like you've experienced, right? It means
Mhm.
the world, um, to be able to be that for somebody.
Yeah, yeah.
And you and the chiropractor and his family, and you guys all became family. You guys all became
Yes, they're like my family.
I know.
Um, Mr. Chiropractor's wife was my
Yeah.
Kelly was in our wedding.
Mhm.
I mean, like, God just the way he orchestrated all of it is just amazing to me. And and then okay, so after that day, Um, it's kind of I mean, it's a little bit of a blur. Like, we went right into test after test, and we went into
Test after
different
test after test.
biopsies, and we went into different
Mhm.
procedures, and
Yeah.
I mean,
But
I
really,
remember it.
was it really before a lot of the procedures though, we had that consultation, that meeting, with the oncologist,
Oh,
um,
yeah.
you and me and dad, and the 3 of us sitting
Mom was on
there.
speakerphone.
And yep, and the doctor said, she's like, "Okay, we need to talk about the elephant in the room." And for me, this is the moment that I look to, like, the day we found out it was cancer was scary and hard. It was not the hardest day, right?
Mhm.
I'm gonna make it through this. Um, but
We're
sitting
celebrating, we're not crying. Just kidding.
I
We
know
can
we're
you can
celebrating. We're here, right? Because and
Yep.
that's
I
it's
cry
something
at
to
all of it,
celebrate.
though.
Because when you're sitting across from a doctor and a doctor says, "We have to talk about the elephant in the room," and basically said that you had less than a year. Like, we were gonna have you for less than a year, and there was just no way around it. Like, there was no hope, there was no denying the scans and the biopsies, and everything had gone to, like, some medical board in, like, Boston or something, I don't remember,
Mhm.
but it was
Yeah.
like everybody agreed that you had less than a year to live, and I don't know where you went after that.
I remember
You
just saying, "I feel fine." I don't know what you guys
Yeah,
are talking about. I
you did a
feel
lot. You did that a lot, yeah, that's so true. Where dad and we left,
I just remember saying
and
that over and over. Yeah.
dad and I had met at the mall. and drove in together. And I
Okay.
dropped him back off at the mall, and I think I remember him saying something like he had to go buy pillows. He was just like he
You had
was
to go buy
so, like, I
pillows?
think
I don't think I've
confused.
ever heard that.
Yeah, and just trying to focus. I'm pretty sure when he sees this, he'll have to remind us if he remembers. I'm pretty sure he said, I got to go in and buy pillows or something. And so then I started driving, and I was like a disaster. And so, and again, it's like, okay, am I going to make it home? I was, 40 minutes from home at that point, and right around the corner from Doug's grandma's house. And he, at that point, had already called his grandma and told her the news.
Mhm.
And so she wasn't shocked when I came in, and I was
Oh.
just a mess, like just a ball of tears and just hysterical. And I couldn't drive because I couldn't see enough to drive, and she just held me. She
Oh.
just held me. And again, sometimes that's what you need. And I think it's important in those moments for all of us to remember, sometimes less words are more.
Mm.
It's like some days, some of those moments, you don't need words.
Yep.
So many of us feel like we have to say something, and it's just important sometimes to just be there. And so grandma was that for me that day, where she just held me. She just knew I needed to be held. So, um, and then we start the
But you're
trips to
right.
the
I
hospital,
forgot
the
about
biopsies, and
that
yeah.
was before any of the other procedures because we had to do the PET scan, and that's when the PET scan, and then we had that conversation,
Hmm.
and the 6 to 12 month conversation, and then it was into they were like, "Okay, but we're gonna biopsy some different things, some of the where what the cancer is, and, or where the cancer is." And so I have way more scars than I think I could ever,
Yep.
explain.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
have
Hmm.
I have scars, in the craziest of places, but, I just I don't know.
You're like, there they are.
Yep, it's true, it's just the thing. Well, because they kept going, "Okay, now we wanna biopsy over here. Now we wanna biopsy this. Now we want,"
Hmm.
and there was one time where um they were gonna do, a liver biopsy and place my chemo port in one
Hmm.
day. Um, oh, and they wanted to do a soft tissue biopsy in another area. And do you remember? And and I said, we'll let everybody listening just guess where that was, but on my buttocks. And so, they had to do 3 procedures. They were like, and I was like, "Wait." I was like, "Do I have to, like," I had to go under basically, like, we're in Twilight for all of those things.
Hmm.
Can I just do it once? Like, why do I have to go seriously, I have to come back 3 times for you to basically almost knock me out, do all the
Yeah.
things, right?
Hmm.
And I had the most amazing medical assistant at my oncologist office, and she was able to arrange for them to get me a room in the hospital that day. So that way, in
Hmm.
between the procedure, I had a place to go. They could just
Yeah.
roll me, and then the next people would just come get me. So
Yeah.
we did
Yeah.
all
I
3 in one
remember
day.
that.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yep, dad took me to that, and then, so that because I was just like, "This is insanity." So, my moral of that part of the story is always speak up for yourself. Like, there are gonna be times in life where things are so overwhelming, and so, you feel like, "Okay, like, there's a method to this, I'm just gonna trust it." And there are times when you have to just let go and trust it, but then there are times where you have an instinct on something, and you need to just ask the question. Just know it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to say, like, "No, I really feel like, is there any way we could do that all in one day? Is there any way that you could just help me make this a little more manageable?" And I think we all, as humans, have a hard time voicing that. I watch that in my own daughters right now,
Hmm.
where I'm trying to help them learn and understand, like, it's okay to say when you need something, right? And in that moment, I needed the doctors to agree to just do these procedures in one day. Like,
Yeah.
To me, I don't understand why they couldn't just knock me out once and do all of them in one time, but
All of
no,
them.
you have to go to, like, all these different locations in the hospital for them to do all these different
And
things.
yeah.
And, like, one day, they're gonna make life much easier for cancer patients. In the meantime,
Yes.
can you
Yeah.
just do it all in one day?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, the last biopsy was, my lungs. So the doctors had said that the cancer was, like, all in my lungs. And, so I have a little scar right here where they went in and,
Yep.
biopsied my lungs. And I'll never forget when the doctor in recovery, the doctor came out. My mom had flown out. Our mom had flown out, from North Carolina and was here. And the doctor told both of us, he said, "Don't hold me to this, but I'm cautiously optimistic." And we were both like, "What is that? What is that? What? What does that even mean?"
Mhm.
You know? And, do you wanna tell the story about who we went and saw before that
Before
procedure?
that,
And this is
yes,
where I'm like, this is like, it still gives me goosebumps.
like chills.
Like, when we
Um,
say that God is a God that heals, and He is still a God that heals.
mhm,
Okay, so you have to tell
mhm,
this part of the story.
yeah. I I can't remember how we found him. You found him, didn't you find
Well, I
him?
didn't find him, so somebody I knew through the, organization that I was with on the day that I
Mhm.
got the call that it was cancer,
Oh, yeah.
someone that worked for that organization had reached out to
Mhm.
me
Yeah.
and said, "Yeah."
So, yeah. So what's really cool, kind of a plot twist, kind of like, let me tell you the story, the way this story ends before it begins. Angela, you were not following the Lord at that time.
No.
You were not saved. You were not living a life for Jesus. You weren't. And
Nope.
so when all of this happened, you gave your life to the Lord and you started trusting in Him. And next thing we know, and of course, we're all praying, our friends are praying, our churches are praying. Um, and we had been praying for you for years to find the Lord. And so,
Yeah.
and this is what happened. And so obviously now you're following the Lord, but you gave your life to Him
Yeah.
during this time, and that was beautiful, right? And so but with that, we Angela calls us up, you call us up, and your mom was
Mom
in
was here.
town, I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
And
because it was
you
right
said,
before this procedure.
that's right. And
Yeah.
and you said, "Hey, there's this guy and he prays over people. And he prays over people and they are healed." And you had complete, just like, we're going to go. And
Yep.
mom and I were like, "Okay." Like, we're like, "Who is this guy?" And we're going to go to his house and we're going to and
Yep.
he was the sweetest man, and I don't remember his name. He was an older gentleman, and we go in there, and he laid hands on you, and he prayed, and I'm just so thankful for that time, and that being able to be there and being able to see that. Um, I believe that, God can use any means necessary to heal physically, to heal spiritually, but there was so much that that meant, right? Like, for you to experience that, for me to experience that, for our mom, for people hearing the story, just like he prayed for healing. And he was not going to take no for an answer.
No. His
Yeah.
prayer was one of the most powerful healing prayers I've ever
Yeah.
heard, and I don't wanna say that just because he was praying over me and for
Hmm.
me, but just, um, it was his whole being believed that God would heal, that God
Hmm.
does heal. Like,
Hmm.
they talk about like, the Bible talks about how we are to surrender our desires, surrender our wants and our wishes, and be brave or be bold
Hmm.
in approaching, the Lord with our requests, right? Like, make
Hmm.
all requests known and just say, "God, like, yeah, I need this thing. I want this thing, and I trust you to do it for me according to your will,
Mhm.
and not just do it for me, right? Like, it's more like, yes, Lord, like, if this is your will, like, please heal me, you
Mhm.
know, and
Yeah.
and it was believed, like, believe
Yeah.
it with, like, every centimeter of what's within you, and that's what he did. You could feel that belief, like, the second we walked into their apartment, like,
Yeah.
it just was amazing. It was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then after that, you had the lung biopsy,
Yes, and the
and then
doctor,
yeah.
yes, the doctor came out and said, "I'm cautiously optimistic," when I was in recovery, and then the next day, he or my oncologist called me, and um, she said, "You are going to be the most fascinating case to follow." And I'm like, "Great, okay,
Hey,
okay."
what does that
So,
mean?
what we haven't said is I was diagnosed with a super rare form of, cervical cancer. So it's called small cell carcinoma, neuroendocrine small cell carcinoma of the cervix, and, so cervical cancers are broken down into, there's HPV and there's non-HPV, and then there's four kind of types, and the two primary types, um, the squamous cell and the adenocarcinomas, are the two that make up 99% of cervical cancers. And
Mhm.
so the HPV shot, and obviously like all the preventative commercials and things that you read about, are what will protect you from 99% of cervical cancers. Then there's the 1%, and the 1% is broken down into a couple of different types, and small and large cell carcinoma are part of that 1%.
Mhm.
And so we were thrown into this world of rare cancer, and
Mhm.
and so she that's what where the fear in the doctors, like, I always when I talk about it, I always say, like, her eyes were, like, I think, more panicked and worried. When I think back to some of the conversations with our oncologist, like, initially, like, she was more panicked and worried, I think, than we were, um, because
Well, then you were.
we didn't
You were
know.
so you were
Okay,
so
then I wasn't panicked. God
the
gave
rest
me
of
a
us were
calmness, right? I felt fine.
and you kept
I could
saying,
not understand what was happening. I could not understand. I think
yeah.
maybe that was God's protection for me,
Mhm.
and you see a lot of cancer patients who they gain this crazy strength, or they gain this amazing optimism or this positive energy, and some don't, but some do. And
Yeah.
maybe for me, that's what I needed, what God gave me in my personality, right? To say, like, no, you just hang on to hope over here and let them panic, and we'll be fine.
Yep. That's what was going on. Yeah. Yeah. Your family around
So
you was like, "She's crazy."
it's like, I'm gonna be fine.
Mhm.
I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be fine.
Mhm.
And so, okay, so I had this super rare cancer. She said, before you, she's like, in the 6 to 12 month conversation left to live, she said, it's like 1 in 2 million chance that it's anything other than cancer, right? That we're going to be
Mhm.
looking at in your lungs, especially. And I was like, she's like, you're 29, you're relatively healthy. It's like 1 in 2 million chance. So then when she called me to say, you're going to be the most fascinating case to follow, it was like a 1 in 2 million chance, because what was in my lungs was sarcoidosis. And so some of you may know what sarcoidosis is, some may not. It's an uh,
Benign tissue growth.
benign inflammation. Why am I blanking on the word? What's an
Yeah.
autoimmune? Thank you. I kept wanting to say autoinflammation. I'm like, no, it's autoimmune. So
Auto
in my
something.
lungs,
Yeah.
yes. So in my lungs, I have sarcoidosis, and she said, she's like, that's impossible that we would have caught that on a PET scan because of the cancer that you have. Like, she's like, it just is not normal. Like, this is just
Yeah.
not, nothing about this is normal. And that's where I get the biggest just like awe out of that whole conversation, because no, I don't really want to be the abnormal one, because this isn't really fun. But if it's going
Yeah.
to mean that like I can live, and I can live differently, and I can make different choices, and I can, then let's be abnormal, let's be rare, and let's do this, you know? So
Yeah.
then um we started chemo,
Yep.
and they said that so this is, I mean, we kind of start at this point to get into what God has been what we've been able to celebrate for 15 years now,
Mhm.
is we did chemo, and radiation is, and a hysterectomy are the typical um, uh,
Like
supplement.
follow-ups.
Yeah,
Yeah.
supplement to
Mhm.
chemo. So usually, depending on the severity of the or spread of the cancer, they might do a hysterectomy first. They might do chemo first. She said, "I'm not in a rush to do your hysterectomy. Let's just do chemo first after that lung biopsy." So I was like, "Great." So we did chemo. During chemo, she said, "I've been doing some research, and I don't know that I would recommend radiation for you." And
Yeah.
she said, and this is where like everybody has to again advocate for themselves, do their homework, do their own
Mhm.
research. Your doctor is only as equipped as the influence around them, and their ability to research, and their ability to discern.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so just pray for discernment for your doctor, and pray for surrender of any ego, and pray for just
Yeah.
wisdom, because it was not normal for her to recommend for me to not have radiation.
Mhm.
And but she said, I think we got all of the tumor out. The chemo should get, she's like, there's no sign of the original tumor anymore.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing to radiate. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So she said that should, if we don't, she's like, well, obviously we're going to monitor you very carefully, but let's not radiate, which is the first thing that potentially saved my fertility.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
the biggest thing is the chemo that I was on would, they thought, most likely cause a chemo-induced menopause. So I may not be able to ever have kids anyway.
Mhm.
And then the radiation, right, would have definitely
Yeah.
made sure I couldn't have kids, but then that decision, and then when I was done with chemo, she said, "I'm gonna leave it up to you." I was like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah.
She's like, "You seem to make pretty good choices, along the way." So, she's like, "Here's the deal." She said, "If you, um, want to try to not have a hysterectomy, I'm okay with that. If you want to do the hysterectomy, we'll schedule it for next week." Like, but like she said, I would support you trying with very close monitoring to not have the hysterectomy.
Yeah.
So it was an instant yes. Like, I didn't even have to think about it.
Like, I'm not
Because
getting that because I wanna have
yeah,
kids,
I wanna
right?
have
Yeah.
kids. I didn't know Jeff at the time. I wasn't,
Mhm.
I was single. I wasn't married. I wasn't, having, there was no babies in the near exact future, but I
Yeah.
knew that that was something that God had put on my heart, that I felt like, nope, like we need to give this a chance. And
Mhm.
um and now I have, um I could show my screen. I don't know how to share my screen on this thing yet, but I'll show, see if I can show a picture in the camera of
Yeah.
their school picture from this
Yeah.
year, the sibling one maybe. Um, and so they know, and they hear me say all the time that they
Mhm.
are my little miracles, because so there's my little miracles. Um,
Mhm.
wait, there's a little glare. Yep.
I know. You'll have to post
Because
it, like, in the comments or
there we
something.
go. Here they
Yeah.
are. They are my little miracles, because they weren't ever supposed to be, right?
Mhm.
According to the world. And
Yeah.
now we showed the world that what God has intended to be will be, no matter what
Mhm.
tries to get in the way, right?
Yeah.
And Kinsley, especially my oldest, she goes, "But mom, but we were made." You
You're
did
like,
get
"Yeah,
she says she says born, like, "You did get to born us."
yeah.
Yes, yes, I did. Yes, I did get to born you.
Yes, I did get
And
to warn you."
I had complicated, pregnancies, and I had complicated births and post-birth,
Mhm.
but, oh my gosh, was it worth it? Because 'Cause they're pretty cute,
Yeah,
and
they
they
are very cute. Yeah.
and
Yes.
they're my miracles, they're my little miracles,
Mhm.
and I met Jeff in 2012,
Mhm.
obviously before the girls.
Yeah, yeah.
There came a Jeff, and Jeff and I got married in 2013, and then now we have Kinsley and Macy, and, and, uh, I just have to say that that's just, like, the last 15 years ha have, my life looks I used to say, like, right after the cancer and as I was walking through what God was teaching me in those first couple of years, I used to say, like, "Gosh," like, I look in the mirror and my life looks completely different than it used to. Um, and I love those moments. I love it when I
Yeah,
realize my life looks so different and I don't even recognize myself.
yeah.
And, but then fast forward even just a couple more years, and I would say the same thing about the few years leading up to that. And now 15 years from a cancer diagnosis that was potentially something that would take me out of this world is something that has made me live for what I can do while
Mhm.
I'm here in this world, right?
Yeah.
So
I was just gonna
it
say it put you back in it.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. So what's your like if you're like your top like things that you would celebrate, like just saying like 15 years, like, oh my gosh, like
Yeah. I mean, obviously the girls.
yeah.
I'll never forget when we all found out that Kinsley was coming. You know, that was like, oh my gosh, that was just so amazing. I think for me, you getting married was a big one.
Mhm.
Through all of this, I felt I'm going to use the word responsible for you. I felt like I needed to care for you. I felt like I needed to make sure that you were okay. But then Jeff came into your life, and it was like, okay, I can release you now because somebody else is going to take care of you. Um, so
He's like,
yeah,
thanks.
so there was that. Yeah, just seeing you get to live your life and getting to see you get baptized
Mm,
and using the gifts that God has given you has been beautiful. So there's so many things to celebrate. Um, yeah,
yeah.
that is just amazing. Mhm.
I'd say we always knew that even when I wasn't walking with the Lord, like we were raised in a Christian in going to church and understanding the Bible, but I just wasn't like Christina said, like I wasn't walking with the Lord at the time. And and there was always something in me, I would say that I could look back and know that like God made me a little bit of the risk taker, a little bit of the rebellious one, a little bit of the like,
Me not.
nope, mm-mm,
Yeah,
nope. Christina
yeah.
got the
We're, did you? We're twins. I don't know if that was mentioned. If we mentioned that at the
right.
beginning for those who might not know us,
Oh,
um,
yeah.
we are indeed
Maybe I
twins.
put it in my I don't know, did I say
I don't know. I don't know.
we're twins. We're identical
Yeah.
twins. Christine and I are
Mhm.
twins. And so she got all of oh my gosh, I can't believe you just said that, Jean. And I got we're just gonna go ask one question. It's fine. It's gonna be fine. Jean. And so,
Change the clothes on the mannequin. Give me a heart attack.
I know. My daughter and her aunt Christina are,
Mhm.
you know, they're all embarrassed about me changing the clothes on a mannequin, but I wanted what was
Yeah.
on the mannequin. Get what's on the mannequin. That's the okay, like celebrate 50, celebrate. You don't have cancer, even if you do have cancer right now, go if you see an outfit on a mannequin and it's your size and they don't have another size, get it off the
Go get
mannequin.
it.
Why not? I didn't break the mannequin.
She did
The
not.
mannequin survived, yes, the mannequin survived, but that's what I'm saying is, like, even now, like, I quit my corporate job in April. I think my family thought I was losing my mind or having a midlife crisis, but no, I quit my corporate job in April to start Nectarfull. Thank you all for being here and, or for watching through Nectarfull, because life is about being intentional with what you're supposed to do with it. And I wrote a book. So if you have not gotten my book, I'll share more information about this soon, but it's now in a printable version. So it's called Empowered by Faith: Christian Women's Guide to Personal Development. So it has nothing to do with my cancer, but it is a celebration of being able to say, nope, God made you for a purpose. He's given you your life and your story for a purpose. And it's okay to pursue what that purpose is, even if everybody else thinks you're crazy for it. And it's okay to say, like, my bank account doesn't need to look a certain way.
Mhm.
My investments or my furniture or my house or my whatever, like, you get to decide what that is for you and your family and not anybody else. And so that's what I've learned in celebrating 15 years since being told I had cancer and I wasn't going to make it is, nope, I'm going to live intentionally, and I'm not going to let anyone else tell me how to live except God and where He's leading me, and how He can use me. He healed me. Now I get to um, like tell other people that and celebrate
Yeah,
that and use the gifts that He has given me to do that. So
yeah, yep, praise God.
praise God. Okay, well, thank you guys for being here celebrating. For those of you that may not know what Nectarful is, if this is your first time watching because you wanted to see Christina, I don't know. Um, Nectarful is we are a women's life coaching platform collaborative. And right now we have 14, I think soon to be 15, amazing women life coaches who coach in every imaginable thing that you are going through in life. And so, if you haven't checked out Nectarfull, it's www.nectarfull.com. Or just shoot me a message and I'd love to talk to you about it. Or shoot Christina a message and she can tell you about it too. I make her know these things. So,
Yeah,
oh, well, thank you, Christina, for celebrating with
yeah,
me.
it was fun. It's a
Yeah.
fun celebration.
Go get a
Mhm.
red cup
I will get
and
my kid to bring me one home from work.
yes, yes, that's what teenagers are good for.
Mhm.